The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
The end of the disastrous run for Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm is near, and we got those reports about 2 weeks ago, including many of the mainstream sites reporting that Kathleen Kennedy would be retiring at the end of 2025. A few weeks later, we then get her confirming that she is actually doing the very thing that the report said that she's doing. However, the spin cycle was already starting, and they tried to manipulate the wording while also confirming the story that came out from Puck News. And here she says it right here. The truth is, I want to just say loud and clear, I'm not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. That's the first thing that's important to say. I'm not retiring. What's happening at Lucasfilm, as I have been talking for quite some time with Bob and Alan about an eventual succession plan, what that might look like, blah, 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 blah. We have an amazing bench of people. She's confirming everything that was said in the report. Now that that's out, and after you look at this Deadline article that's literally just kissing her ass and telling you how great she is and how wonderful she is, now we are starting to get these headlines. Stephen Knight calls working with Star Wars a great experience, enjoyed working with Kathleen Kennedy. Stephen Knight was doing a press tour, and if you don't know who Stephen Knight is the person that was working on the Rey movie, I believe, the new Jedi Order movie. And right here it says, here is what Knight had to say about the experience working on the Star Wars project with Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy. While some fans bemoaned the loss of Knight on the Star Wars film and complained that it was yet another change in direction, or even speculating that Kennedy didn't like his changes and he was dropped from the project, the screenwriter said he loved working on the movie and praised the Lucasfilm chief. I mean, it was a great experience, and I'm not just saying this, they were great people. He said Kathleen Kennedy is a pleasure to work with. Lucasfilm are smart people who know their craft, and for me, it was a particular discipline in the world of writing and film. In this world, and you enter the world, and you do your bit, and you do your take. And what else is he supposed to say? Of course he's supposed to say that, but all of these shill sites are running with these headlines that Stephen Knight working with Kathleen Kennedy on Star Wars. He loved it. It was the greatest thing ever. The Mary Sue, on the same day all of this happens, says Kennedy staying at Lucasfilm is actually a good thing. This is exactly what I told you was going to happen. The praise and the spin for Kathleen Kennedy has now started up. And it's all because of this Deadline article where it says Kathleen Kennedy speaks out on her Lucasfilm plans. She is not soon retiring, and the films that will keep her in the Star Wars orbit for years. And then they kiss up to her, talking about how she's the greatest producer of all time, which she's not. And then, of course, we get to the part where she confirms the entire article that came out. It's absolutely insane, and it's ridiculous, but it's not surprising at all. But of course, this is the Kathleen Kennedy who sat there with George Lucas and lied straight to his face.
I always said I wasn't going to do any more, and that's true, because I'm not going to do any more. But that doesn't mean I'm unwilling to turn it over to Kathy to do more. Mm-hmm. I have story treatments of 7, 8, and 9 and a bunch of other movies, and obviously we have hundreds of books and comics and everything you could possibly imagine. So, you know, I sort of moved that treasure trove of stories and various things to Kathy, and I have complete confidence that she's going to take them and make great movies. I'm doing this so that the films will have a longer life, and so that more fans and people can enjoy them into the future. It's a very big universe I've created, and there's a lot of stories that are sitting in there.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
I just said that I would back her up, and I would be there if, and especially helping with the script and making sure the script there's a lot of
Reminder, they threw away his outlines for the sequel trilogy. They threw away his outlines and decided to move in a completely different direction. She lied to him, to his face, and she lied to all of the fans because she is a horrible person.
Blank spots in the story treatment that hopefully we can fill in. And
I think the incredible thing about George is, you know, this is not like a series of books like Harry Potter where you've already got a template of what the stories might be. These are original stories and original ideas that come out.
He gave you a template for the sequel trilogy, and you threw it away and moved in a completely different direction.
Out of a world that essentially is in George's head. So the beauty of the collaboration that can continue is as we work our way through these scripts, if we're sitting and saying, you know, I wonder if this character can do that, or does this make sense within the rules of Star Wars? That really, he's the keeper of the flame when it comes to that.
It's the same thing with the first 3 films. That's all my job is to be the keeper of the flame. Well, it's also based on human behavior, human psychology, you know, mythology, which is the sort of archaeology of human behavior and thinking. And since it has those motifs, it is very universal, and everybody can relate to it. It's about good and evil in us, as well as our institutions. So, and the idea that some of us think we're really great people, but in the real world we're not. We're terrible people.
Or you can make bad choices.
Well, you make bad choices.
Well, you made a lot of those, Kathleen Kennedy.
But you run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's you know, how do democracies turn back into dictatorships? Why do people who have the power to have the freedom and everything turn it over to somebody who's going to take it all away from them? It's happened through history forever and ever. And
amazing.
All Star Wars is a way of updating that idea to say, watch out, because there are people out there who don't play by the rules, and if you're not careful, you're going to lose all your freedom. And at the same time, those people who may not play by the rules because they're selfish and greedy turn themselves into evil people who don't care about other people.
There you go. The essence
Playing
of Star
out
Wars.
today.
You know, I have a tremendous amount to learn from George. There's things that that I want to preserve within the spirit of this company, and as it moves into Disney, I think it's vitally important to anything we create that we hold on to the spirit of what started all of this.
And of course, and I've got the clip right here and I'll play it, but she lied, and they basically moved away from George, started to ignore him, and didn't want anything to do with him after they got him to sign over Star Wars.
They looked at the stories and they said, we want to make something for the fans. So I said, all I wanted to do was tell a story of what happened. You know, it started here and it went there, and it's all about generations, and it's about, you know, the issues of fathers and sons and grandfathers, and it's a family soap opera. I mean, ultimately, we call it space opera, but people don't realize it's actually a soap opera, and it's all about family problems and that. It's not about spaceships. So they decided they didn't want to use those stories. They decided they were going to go do their own thing, and so I decided, fine, but basically I'm not going to try to. They weren't that keen to have me involved anyway, but at the same time I said, I'm not going to, if I get in there, I'm just going to cause trouble, because they're not going to do what I want them to do. So, and I don't have the control to do that anymore, and all I would do is muck everything up. So I said, okay, I will go my way and I'll let them go their way. And it really does come down to a simple rule of life, which is when you break up with somebody, the first rule is no phone calls. The second rule, you don't go over to their house and drive by to see what they're doing. Yes. The third one is you don't show up at their coffee shop or the things that you're going to run in. You just say, no, gone, history, I'm moving forward. Because every time you do, and you know, we all learn this from experience, every time you do something like that, you're opening the wound again. And it just makes it harder for you. You have to put it behind you, and it's a very, very, very hard thing to do. But you have to just cut it off and say, okay, end the ball game. I got to move on. And everything in your body says, don't, you can't. And these are my kids. So
All those Star Wars films.
all the Star Wars films.
They were your kids.
Yeah, well, they are right. You know, I loved them. I created them. I'm very intimately involved in them, and obviously to
And
sell
you
them
sold
off.
them.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and.
Okay, but having said all that, and having talked to you for the last, and known you for a while, and admired you, I mean, it must hurt you.
Well, no,
it's your family. It's the last story. It's your story.
But
it's
in the end,
you.
But I knew there's 3 more stories, and I knew that was going to probably take, you know, to do it right would take about 10 years. And I said, I'm 70. I don't know whether I'll be here when I'm 80. You know, every 10 years the odds get less. And so I said, and I'm not ready to do that because I want to do these other things. So I have to make the decision on my own that it's time for me to move on.
And here we are. And of course, the spin machine will continue. And this is exactly what I predicted. And a lot of these Star Wars shill sites are going to be running with this nonsense right here. This is Star Wars Newsnet. They're a bunch of shills. This is Dork Side of the Force, a bunch of shills. And they are going to be continuing to push this propaganda out there. And of course, you have the Mary Sue saying this. And this is all happening at the same time. So it's going to continue. The propaganda to try to give the illusion that Kathleen Kennedy is actually good at what she does and she's a legend will happen. So that's why I will continue to make more videos calling her out, because she's not good at what she's done. She's completely, like, what she is the best grifter of all time, because that's a term that a lot of people like to throw out there, so I'll just use their terminology. But she has grifted. She has essentially latched on to so many more powerful and influential men that she's allowed to attach her name to their projects, and she's grifted off of that. She has no idea what she's doing, and now she's been head of Lucasfilm for over a decade now. And look at the results. Star Wars is completely dead. It's completely irrelevant. No one cares. No one has any interest at whatsoever. And this is due to her leadership and the fact that she was a terrible choice. Yes, George Lucas made that choice. It was a bad choice. But I don't think that he understood that they would stab him in the back the moment that he signed the paper. But that's exactly what happened. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Make sure you check out metapcs.com. Use the promo code 199 if you're interested in getting yourself a PC or a laptop. We appreciate them. They do a great job. American owned and operated and veteran owned. So please make sure you go over there, check those guys out. Use the promo code 199. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Solo lost money. Raylos are weird. Fuck Kathleen Kennedy. And we will talk to you later.